no saludables.
Total, total. No, pero hay que tener
A
cuidado.
ver.
Por ejemplo, yo estaba en Islas hace un momento y
Ujú.
llego a mi casa y me encuentra mi abuelita y me dice, te traje esto. Y yo, ay, gracias. Entonces la pensé y dije, no, y si como, no como ya. Obviamente he caído, pero
Puta,
creo
sí.
que hay que tener equilibrio.
Total, total.
Yes, that's the problem. ¿Cómo puedo? Ok, ya, ahora sí. So, we're going to start with the class of today. Te
Ujú.
pasé un PDF, bueno, no es un Word en realidad, y es acerca del vocabulario, right?
Ujú.
So, cuando no puedas, I'm going to share my screen in a second. Right. So, Dios, mi computadora está súper lenta. A ver, ya. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Eh, Está cargando todavía.
My God.
Ya, ahora sí.
All right, thank you. So, en realidad este es el vocabulario que nos va a servir en clase.
Ujú.
Por lo general ya se tendría que haber visto hace tiempo, pero no todos aprenden al mismo, o bueno, no todos tienen el mismo método de aprendizaje. Entonces, como ya estamos un poquito más avanzados contigo, vamos a tratar de hablar, o por lo menos el vocabulario básico ya de implementarlo, right?
Ujú.
Como ya sabes de gramática, ya no tendrías que tener problema, porque a veces el problema es cuando no sabemos qué decir, no sabemos cómo conjugar, y es por temas de gramática, que no sabes cómo vas a poner qué y demás.
Ujú.
Entonces, esto te va a ayudar demasiado. Um, you have in this part things you might say to your teacher. I'm sorry, I don't understand. Sorry, we don't use this other word. It sounds like in French. We have what does chair mean? Well, in this case, it's a translation of
Example.
something, right? For example, what does bottle of water mean, right? You
Ujú.
can replace word. And this part we have, how do you say, I don't know, cell phone? How do you say, I'm sorry, how do you say cellular in English, right?
Ujú.
How do you spell that?
Ujú.
Sellkihone, right? A veces no sabemos cómo deletrear o cómo se escribe, right? Entonces, lo correcto sería decir, how do you spell? Is this correct? What is the past of go? How do you pronounce this word? What exactly do we have to do? Excuse me, may I come in? Well, esto es para clases presenciales, right?
Ujú.
Could you speak more slowly, please? Esto sí es de mucha ayuda. A veces, no sé, rapeamos, creo. A veces hablamos muy rápido y a veces no se entiende. Entonces, para decir que se vaya un poquito más despacio, utilizamos esta pregunta. Excuse me, I'm sorry, esto también es para presencial, esto también, bueno, no decimos toilet, decimos bathroom or bath, right?
Ujú.
Can I sharpen my, esto igual, say that again, please. Yes, that's something that we use. Say that again, please. Or can you repeat, please? Right? Can you
Ujú.
help me, please? Is this right? Is this wrong? I'm sorry, I forgot my notebook. I'm sorry, I didn't do my homework. Right? Y algo que vamos a leer en textos, bueno, ya lo hemos visto, pero por si acaso, son palabras que vamos a tener de instrucciones en algún libro, right? So if you don't have the translation of something, or maybe you don't have what is the correct option, right? The most useful, something that we always use in class is what does chair mean, right? This one, and how do you say is celular in English, for example, right?
Ujú.
All right, so
Súper.
no te olvides practicar, right? Lo vamos a poner en práctica, algo que no está, que olvidé ponerlo. Cuando lanzamos las encuestas para decir que ya está hecho, decimos it's done, right?
Ujú.
Sí, lo voy a escribir en el chat. It's done. All right, there you have it, right? So, te voy a enviar otra parte del vocabulario, en realidad es algo súper amplio, ya es más vocabulario que no sirve demasiado, porque también va de la mano con la gramática, right? Tenemos daily routines, skill subjects, bueno, esto ya no lo utilizamos mucho, pero igual por conocimiento. Adverbs of frequency, right? Esto no sé por qué no he podido descargar, pero te lo voy a pasar a un Word, right?
Super.
All right, thank you. So do you have any question?
No.
All right, thank you. So can you please help me to remember until what part we stop?
We stop. Subject. Okay. Subject, adjective, clauses.
All right, thank you. So let me check for it. Right. I guess it's in this part. How is the weather in Santa Cruz?
Hot. Very hot.
Yes, here in Cochabamba it's very, very hot. In report, no. Well, my goodness, I got lost. Future conditional after adjective nouns. Can you help me to remember? Can you repeat it, please?
Subject, adjective, clauses.
What? Oh, okay. Give me a second. Which is supposed to. No, where is it? I can find it. Can you please take a pic of it?
Bueno.
And send it to my WhatsApp, please.
I think yesterday I took a pic.
No, I can't find. Or maybe you're, I guess, yes, you're from your cell phone.
Aquí está.
That's real crazy. My God. Subject, adjective, person. Where is it? Subject. Es que tenemos como el ABC y no sé en cuál de los tres está. Present continuous. No, I don't need it.
Lo anterior a ese eran los reported imperatives.
All right. Reported. Okay. Oh, yes, I get it. So, yes. Thank you. So, all right. So today's lesson, it's about future conditional, right? I'm going to share my screen with you if you have time. All right. This is a review, right? Because we saw the conditionals, right? I don't know if you remember. First conditional, second conditional.
First conditional?
Yes, but I guess it was in the last book, in purple book. I'm not sure about it. But as I suppose it, maybe this could be a refresh, right? Because this conditional is one of the first that we see, that is programmed to see in the first book, right? I mean, in the purple book. So this is very, very easy, right? and all the conditionals, almost all the conditionals, right, work in the same way. They work in the same way. So let's listen this audio.
Hello, how are you? Today, we're going to study the future conditional. First, I'll explain how we use it. Then, if you have time, you'll practice using it, okay? If you're ready, we'll begin.
All right. So we have, if you have time, you'll practice using it. If you're ready, we'll begin. So let's see the structure. What is the first conditional, the future conditional?
We use the future conditional to talk about results that will happen under certain conditions. The if clause, the clause beginning with if, states the condition. The result clause, the clause that does not begin with if, states the result. If Nick asks Talia out, she'll say yes.
All right. So we have this whole lesson, right? We have to zero, first, second, and third conditional. We have, in total, we have 4 conditionals, right? Well, conditionals are going to help us. This is in general, right? It's not about only the future conditional. Describe the result of a certain condition. That's the reason why it is called conditional, right? So the if clause tells you a condition, right? This is going to be the condition. If Nick asks Talia out, right? And I have the result. Right, so, and well, this is called main clause, right? She'll say yes, right? This main clause or the result, right, is gonna give you the result if something happened, right? So in the whole sentence, I have a specific situation, right? In the first clause, right, this one, that clause that starts with if, in this one we have a condition, right? It is called if clause, right? And it's gonna explain you, or we're gonna have a kind of a condition, right? For example, if you study hard, right, that's a condition. And I have the second part of it, and it is the main clause, right? The main clause tells you the result of the first clause, right? So if you study hard, you will pass your exams, right? That's the result. If you do something, you are gonna have a result, right? So in this case, we have if Nick asks Talia out, she'll say yes, right? So we have the zero conditional, right? Give me a second. All right, we have the zero conditional, right? I guess we saw this, I'm not sure, but if we don't, we're gonna see for it forward, because as I told you, this book is it just refreshes, it's a summarize of everything, right? So we have zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and third conditional, right? This one, it is called the first conditional, right? Future conditional or first conditional, right? So let's see, how about point number 2?
The verb in the if clause is in the present, even though we're talking about the future. The verb in the result clause is in the future with will or be going to. If we leave now, we'll catch Tony. If we don't leave now, we're going to miss Tony.
All right, so we are gonna use the first conditional. When we talk about future situations we believe are real or possible, right? So in the example we have, if we leave now, that's my condition, right? So if that happens, something, it's gonna have a result, right? If we leave now, that's my condition, that's my situation, and I have a result. For each action, we have a result, right? So that's about the conditional is trying to explain us, right? So if we do something, we're going to have a result of something, right? Of that something that we made. So the verb, yes, let's see about the structure. Something that, as I told you, we have two clauses, right? We have two complete sentences. In this one, I have the first one. If we leave now, I have my verb, I have my subject and I have my verb. Then I have a comma, right? That is separating these two sentences, right? And in this one, again, I have a subject and I have a verb, right? So in first conditional sentences, the structure is usually if, right? It starts with if, even though we can start with when. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen to share my whiteboard. Right, yes. So, okay, this is about first condition. All right, so let's see the structure. As I told you, we have two clauses, right, that are separated with a comma, right? So in first conditional sentences, the structure is usually, as I told you, we're gonna use if or when. Don't forget the capitalization, right? Then we're gonna choose a subject, right? Plus verb. But this verb needs to be in the simple present. Right? Always in the simple present, right? So the condition, in other words, is gonna be in the simple present, right? Then I'm gonna use a comma, followed by it. It's necessary to continue with the second clause. In this second clause, I'm gonna use my subject, if it's necessary, subject, plus will, right? And a verb. That's all, right? And my period. So this is gonna be all the structures, all our structure of the first conditional. So let's look an example of it. For example, what can we say? All right, we're gonna start with when. When it's similar to if. When I finish work, comma, subject, will, and the verb I will call. That's all. That's all, right? Okay. So that's all the structure. Let's see, we have when. I could say if though, it's okay, right? If I finish, oh, sorry, I had a mistake spelling in this part. So I could use if I finish work, I will call you, or when I finish work, I will call you. So my first clause, right, it's followed by the verb in the simple present. My second clause is the result of my first action, right? And this one is, I'm gonna use the future tense, in this case, will, right? So do you have any question until this part, Danny?
Oh, well,
All
everything
right.
is clear.
All right, thank you. So let's continue with the next part of the slides.
You can also use a modal, such as might and can, in the result clause. If we leave now, we might see Amy. If we see Amy, we can tell her what happened.
All right. So in this case, it is up to you, right? Because it's basically almost the same, right? We actually know when do we have to use might, when do we have to use can, right? So it is up to you. The sentence is the same. Of course, if I'm gonna use a modal, it's not necessary the use of will, right? So we might see Amy, we can see Amy, or we will see Amy, right? It's up to you. There is no new rule. But you have to see, I'm starting with the if clause, that clause that starts with if, the subject. This first sentence is in the simple present. Then my second clause, it's in the future, right? So more than the structure, let's see the situation. If we leave now, that's a supposition of something, right? That's my condition, my first action that is gonna have a result. So if we look now as a result, we might see Amy. That's a possibility of something. If I do something, I'm gonna have a result. If we see Amy, we can tell her what happened, right? So maybe there was a problem, right? So I could imagine that we're gonna see Amy, right? So if we see Amy, that's a supposition, right? We can tell her what happened. So if I see her, I'm gonna explain her what happened. That's my result of the first action, right? So that will be everything about point number 1. I want to know if there is any question maybe about the structure, or I don't know, the use of the first conditional, Danny, or everything is okay?
Everything is okay, Belle.
Thank you. Let's continue with point number 4.
The if clause can come at the beginning or the end of the sentence. The meaning is the same. When the if clause comes first, we put a comma after it. When the main clause comes first, we don't use a comma between the two clauses.
If we go now, Tony will still be at the office.
Or,
Tony will still be at the office if we go now.
All right. So we saw in the same happens with all the conditions, right? I could start with the if clause and then my main clause, the result clause, or I could start with the main clause and then put the if clause. But if I'm gonna use, and this only applies when we're writing, if I'm gonna start with my if clause, I'm gonna use comma, right, to separate the first clause to the second clause, right? But something different happen if I'm gonna start with my result clause. There is no necessary to use, we don't have the necessity to use a comma because if works as a comma, right? So only we're gonna start with the main clause, right? And we're gonna continue with the if clause. It's not necessary to use a comma. Something that is important though, that we don't have in person, is that we can use another word instead of if, right? Let me show you an example of this. All right. For example, it is also common to use this structure with unless, as long as soon as, or in case, instead of if, right? So let's start with the main clause. I will leave, right? In this case, I could use if, right? Or also, I could use, for example, as soon as, right? As soon as the babysitter, the babysitter arrives, right? So you have a lot of options, right? I'll leave. Oh, I forgot to write double E. Sorry, it was. I'll leave. Yes, now it's okay. So it is up to you. Which one are you gonna use? I'll leave if the babysitter arrives. I'll leave as soon as the babysitter arrives, and the meaning is the same, right? So you may start with the main clause, I'll leave in this case, or you may start with the if clause, right? That is more common, but it's up to you. The difference is the comma, right? Then the meaning is the same. So that will be everything, Danny. Do you have any question maybe?
No, Belle.
All right, thank you. So then we're gonna look for the second conditional, right? For example, if we had a garden, we could have a cat, right? But the structure is gonna change, but it's not part of the lesson. So maybe the next lesson is we're gonna look for it in the next module, I mean. So I'm gonna share my screen, right? We're gonna practice. All right. So once you can see it, please let me know.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So can you please read the instruction?
Mhm. Match the first part of the sentence with the second part.
All right, so
If-
go ahead, please.
If Talia does a good job, she'll become a reporter.
All right, thank you.
Dean may go to jail. If uh, if people learn the truth, Tali is going to play the tape for Amy if she's in the office. If Talia and Nick finish dinner, they might not catch Tony at the office. Nick will ask Talia out. She won't say no. I don't know if he has the chance. If Nick asks Talia out, she won't say no.
All right, thank you. Do you want to modify something maybe before
No.
to submit?
Mm-mm.
Right, let's see how is everything. And then yes, everything was okay. Oh, something that it's not in person though, but we have in the structure in this exercise. We know that we have two possibilities to talk in the future, right? The first one is using will, and the other one is using going to, right? So it's up to you which one you're gonna use, right? Is going to or will play, right? Is going to play or will play the tape for him. We already know what is the difference between is be going to and will, right? So what else? Yes, in the negative, right? They might not. It's similar, right, to the use of I'm sorry. For example, it is similar to the negative of the modals, right? We don't have this in person, but basically it's the same, right? The structure is the same. That's the reason why we don't have in person, because it's nothing. We don't have something new, right? Might not, cannot, right? Won't, say not, right? Do you have any question maybe?
No, well.
All right, thank you. So let's continue with the next practice. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna share my screen. Once you can see, please let me know.
Yeah.
Read instruction, please.
Read each sentence, type the correct form, simple present or future of the verbs in parentheses into the blanks. Use contractions when possible. It's getting late. You know that if we... Espera. If we, you know, that if we have, or like construction with,
If we have, or well, it's up to you. It's similar. It's the same, whatever ways. We can say, it's getting late. You know that if we have dessert, it's okay. We don't have, in this case, we can't put or we can't use contraction, right? If we've dessert, it sounds a little bit, right?
yeah.
But it says, where is it? Use contractions when possible, right? It means, for example, won't, I don't know, it's not going to, might not, right? Oh, might not, no. but it is not going to, right? Isn't going to, that's what I mean, right?
Yeah. Tony, I put as it when won't be or will not
Yes,
be.
for sure, won't.
Won't be in the office when we get there. I want him to hear this recording. Don't worry. If you play it for him tomorrow, it will be
If
fine.
you,
If you play it, it will be fine.
in this case, for example, we can use the contraction, but it's a little
¿Verdad?
bit difficult, right? It'll, es un poco complicado, voy a decir esta parte en castellano. Sí existe la contracción, it'll, pero suena un poco extraño, right? Si bien queremos tratar de acortarla al momento de hablar y sonar más fluido, al utilizar ciertas contracciones que para nosotros, quienes no somos nativos del habla inglesa, es un poquito complicado. Así que hazlo de acorde a como te sientas más cómoda, ¿sí?
Yeah.
It will be
It will
fine.
be fine. If your coach hear this recording,
Here,
I'm sure here. Uh-huh.
but if I'm talking in third person,
Hears the recording, I'm sure he will let you play in the next game. I hope so. He'd better let you play. Your team won't win if you don't play. You know, Talia, if you phone the office, you will feel more relaxed. Great idea.
all right, thank you. So is there something that maybe you want to modify?
No.
All right, thank you. So let's see how is everything. And everything was okay. So, okay. Do you have any question maybe? All right, thank you. So let's continue with the next lesson. All right. So today we're gonna look for the past perfect, right? It's a review because we've already seen. So let's see how is everything. Give me a second. All right, yes. So let's listen this audio.
Hi, I was just thinking back to about 7 years ago. I had given up my dreams of being an actor and I had started teaching. Now I'm a teacher and I'm making this video. So I guess I'm still an actor after all. Had given up and had started are examples of the past perfect. Let's learn more about this verb form.
All right. So we have had given up and had started. Until this point, we have to know the three columns, right? The three forms of each verb. Simple present, well, the base form, the past, and the participle form. So let's see, when do we have to use the past perfect?
We use the past perfect to talk about something that happened before a specific time in the past.
It was 8:30. Jackie and Dean had left Valentino's.
This means Jackie and Dean left before 8:30.
All right, so let's see, when do we have to use it? We're gonna use the past perfect to talk about something that happened before a specific time in the past. For example, it was 8:30, Jackie and Dean had left Valentino's, right? What does it mean, right? That Jackie and Dean left before 8:30, right? So it's an action, right, that happened in the past before a specific time, right? So it was 8:30. Jack and Dean had left at Valentine's, right? So they finished the action, in other words, right? It started in the past, and we don't know how much time does the action lasted, but we're not interested in it. The only part that is important for us is that the action finished, right? So let's see what is the structure of this time tense.
We form the past perfect with had plus the past participle. We often use the contraction de with pronoun subjects.
Nick and Talia already knew each other. They'd taken classes together in college.
All right, so this structure is very simple because we only have to use the past of had. Even if I'm talking in third person, I'm not gonna modify this part. I can use contractions. They had or they'd taken classes together in college, right? So, and then I'm gonna use the verb in the participle form. They had taken, right? They had taken classes together in college, right? So Nick and Talia already knew each other, right? So let's see the until this part. We know when do we have to use the past perfect. One more time as a summarize. We're gonna use, we know that it's a verb tense, right? And it's used to talk about actions that were completed before some point in the past, right? So in this case, I have two actions. The first action is in simple past, right? Nick and Talia already knew each other. Then I have my second action that is in the past perfect. They had taken classes together, right? Well, something that is important to say about this sentence, right, is that when it's for talking about something that happened before something else, right? For example, imagine waking up one morning, right, and stepping outside to grab a newspaper, right, to grab the newspaper. All right, so on your way back in, you notice a mysterious message, right, scrawled across from your door, right? So how can I say that? For example, I turned back to the house and saw that some no, how can we say it? I turned back to the house and saw that someone named Toodles. And no, well, hot face, hot